I'm first of all, thank you so much for being a part of the Sarah Carter Show. I think it's
No,
very.
not at all. It's a pleasure, Sarah.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think it's an important venue, having
Sure
podcasts
is.
and websites to get the real message out to the American people, because we're really seeing a clamping down on our First Amendment freedoms, Rudy. And we've seen that particularly with the biggest story, I think, of the year, which is the Hunter Biden scandal and the laptop and all of the information that we've seen regarding Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and their foreign business dealings. What goes through your mind when you see what's happened? I mean, after the New York Post broke these bombshell reports based on the laptop that was delivered to you from this gentleman in Delaware, and you see Twitter and other social media platforms just shutting it down, trying to stop the story before the election.
Well, I didn't think that could ever happen in America. It is outrageous. It's beyond illegal. It shows no respect at all for our Constitution or our values as a people. This is a highly relevant information that the public has a need to know before they make a decision. It is, and it's being suppressed. It's being covered up. It contains significant evidence of criminal activity. It's covered up by big tech, by the big media, and some of the big businesses. And all the reasons for it are completely corrupt. I mean, one reason is they want to elect Biden and not Trump because Trump is going to regulate them. I mean, Trump is going to end this monopoly, and he'll be like Teddy Roosevelt was. And, they've seen Trump when he wants to get something done, and within 1 year, this will never happen again. If Biden becomes president, we're going to be living with censorship like this anytime they want to do it.
I absolutely agree with you there. I've spoken to Senator Ron Johnson. I'm pulling this up right here. Here's the Hunter Biden, Burisma and corruption, the impact on U.S. government policy and related concerns. This was the report that the Senate put together, a summary of their report about what was happening overseas. And when you think about the consequences, and I'm going to go back to what you just said about clamping down on our First Amendment freedoms and our ability as Americans to make sound judgments on our leaders, right? And one of the things that Senator Johnson was talking about in this report is the national security implications of the Bidens dabbling in financial institutions in China that are connected to the Communist Party, again in Ukraine on the board of Burisma, making as much as $83,000 a month. Hunter Biden was $50,000 to $83,000 a month on the board of Burisma. We saw what happened with Devin Archer. I mean, we are really seriously in a predicament now at this point in time. And the American people, for the most part, unless they're actually spending time watching maybe Fox News or listening to the radio or getting their news off the internet in specific platforms, they're not hearing about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely contrary to what America is all about. I only can conclude that these people who are doing it have decided that there are other things that are more important, like they're making money in China, or they're having a president who will be compliant with their ability to do anything that they want. Because up until now, big tech has been able to do anything it wants, and we let it grow into a monopoly.
Let's talk.
And now it's really completely trashing our right of free speech. That has to be stopped.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. What was the most significant find? What do you think shocked you the most, particularly with the laptop? Especially when you're thinking of the complexity about the fact that Hunter Biden, his connection to his father, what was it in there, first of all, that shocked you the most? And why were you concerned at all at the beginning when you received the laptop? I know there's been a lot of people talking. They tried to play it off. They tried to say that this wasn't real. I know this is something that Joe Biden has brought up. This isn't true, he said, although now it's been proven to be true. Were you at all concerned that maybe there was something going on here? Explain that a little.
Immediately, the audience when you see it, you have to say to yourself, is somebody setting me up? Is it some
right?
So we investigated that. My lawyer did first when he got it. I did it myself when I got it. And the New York Post did it for 5 days before they published it. So we all separately verified it based on people that we knew we could call that would have communicated with this. based on two pieces of information that I have that are highly confidential, that only Hunter Biden would have known. Of course, the photographs help you a great deal to verify it. Nobody would have these photographs but him in China. The photographs are clear pornography, verging on perverted sexual acts, and then a large number of young underage girls, and then a very disturbing text about how he's a danger to children, which he writes to his father. So it's got federal crimes. It's got about $40 million worth of bribery over the years that he was vice president. It has endangerment of children. And he has an inordinate fascination with 14 and 15-year-old girls that somebody has to take a look at. And the FBI has been delinquent in doing that for 10 months.
Okay, that's where I want to go. I find that incredible too. Director Christopher Wray has basically had this hard drive in the FBI's possession since December 2019. Am I right on that?
That's absolutely correct. And when they first asked the gentleman about it, they asked him, does it have any pornography on it? And the gentleman said no, because he hadn't gotten to the photographic section. He had really stopped at the section that involves Ukraine, right, because he was so surprised that all the things they were denying on television turned out to be lies, that Hunter Biden and his father had talked about Burisma many times, that his father was very aware of Burisma and what was involved. And remember, there you have a double bribe. First, the crooked Ukrainian, Mykola Zlochevsky, who stole $5.6 billion, basically hires Joe to fix the case for him. I mean, the idea that prosecutor was fired because of Hunter Biden is ridiculous. Prosecutor was fired because they had to dismiss the case on the big guy, where there was $5.8 million at stake. And that's what earned Joe $14 million, which is what he got ultimately out of Ukraine.
It's just an incredible amount of money.
The text messages help to corroborate that.
So why do you think, Mayor, why do you think it is that the mainstream media is refusing to investigate this? I mean, I think that we know they side with Joe Biden, but considering that, and I'm taking this is alleged, I haven't seen them yet, but it sounds very serious. I do believe what you're saying, that there's possibly pictures in there of alleged minors, statements that Hunter Biden has made himself, apparently in these alleged text messages back and forth to his dad. Why is it that the FBI is not doing a thing? And then the mainstream media that has been so adamant about against human trafficking, standing up for the women, Me Too movement, all of this is just ignoring this completely. Is it hypocrisy? What is it?
Has to be hypocrisy, Sarah. I mean, you can't look at this and not get angry. I can't look at these pictures and it took me about 5 days to get to them because I did the text first. Bernie Kerik and I were going over it. We realized we were watching an inordinate number of pictures of underage girls and a particular girl. There's one girl that's on there underage more often than anyone else, including his many different lovers. And it jumps out at you, just jumps out at you. There's something wrong here. And then I found the following text, which is almost self-explanatory and should lead the police to show up at the door right after they read this text. This is a text from Hunter to his father, and it's dated September 23rd, 2018. And it reads as follows. She is referring to his sister-in-law, who he took up with after his brother died, if you remember.
Right.
She told my therapist that I was sexually inappropriate with, she mentions a 14-year-old girl's name, when she says that I FaceTime naked with her. And the reason I can't have her out to see me is because I'll walk around naked, smoking crack, talking tom girls on FaceTime. When she was pressed, she said that I never said anything like that. But the bottom line is that I create and cause a very unsafe environment for the kids. When you see that, and then you look at these many, many photos where sexual activity with adults is over the top. Some people could consider it perverted. The number of pictures of the girls are inordinate. One is particularly bad. You've got to take this somewhat, you got to take this seriously. And he's actually saying, even if I didn't do these other things, I present a very unsafe environment for the kids.
Well, absolutely. Somebody who's an addict, somebody who appears to be highly unstable, somebody who has access to a large financial sum of money from foreign actors. When you've now, I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to the president. I do not ask you to divulge any information,
Sure.
that in private conversations with him, but there has to be reasonable consideration here that there are national security implications in relation to Hunter Biden, his activities, and his father. I mean, on a big scale here, not only with what we're seeing as sexual activity, possibly, and I say allegedly because I need to really see this, and the FBI needs to investigate with underage girls. But the fact that, his dealings with these foreign adversaries, this could be used as blackmail, right?
No question about it. In fact, I do believe that the last deal that the Chinese were putting together, they were putting together specifically for the purpose of blackmail, because it was being done by a Chinese organized criminal named Xi Jinping. He's a high-level member of the Communist Party. He's an organized criminal. He's a murderer. And he runs a lot of front businesses in order to inveigle people in. So they put together a business with the Bidens, the Chinese communists did. And the business included Joe, Jim, and Sara Biden. But an undisclosed member of the partnership was Joe Biden. So,
whoa, wait a minute. So an undisclosed member of that contract was actually Joe Biden, and you have evidence of that.
Well, here's what I have. I have the contract. It doesn't have him in it. And then I have this side memo, and I don't know if you can see that, but it says down here, 10% held by H for the big guy. And then we have internal text messages where people refer to Joe Biden as the big guy.
That's right.
And finally, we have Mr. Bobulinski, who testifies that he was there when this was done. And yes, Joe did get 10% of the equity, and he was a participating partner, maybe the principal one, and that that Joe was also going to receive additional amounts of money from Hunter, because Hunter split everything he got 50-50 with his father.
Right.
So this is a big deal. This is $30 million, $10 million a year for 3 years, 50% equity, all for making introductions.
Right. And Tony Bobulinski is basically supporting, and he came out and said, and for everyone out there who doesn't know, Tony was a business partner of Hunter Biden. He came out, he said he couldn't take it anymore. He saw his name in these emails that were disclosed finally by Rudy and the New York Post. The mayor and the New York Post disclosed all of this. And Tony Bobulinski said, I want to come out and I want to clear my name, and I want to let everybody know that these emails are for real. This is not Russian disinformation. This is not disinformation whatsoever. And he verified a lot of this, what came forward. And now he's going to be apparently interviewed by the FBI, right, Rudy?
I think he has been already, Sarah. There's also, to support him, there's a memo, a text message. It's actually a screenshot from May 20, 2017. It's from James Gilliar, who's the other person involved in this with Bobulinski, and he gives him a warning. Don't mention Joe being involved. It's only when you are face to face with him. I know you know that, but they are paranoid.
So why do you think, with all of this evidence, with all of this mounting evidence, what do you think is going on here that I mean, I feel like I'm living in upside down land, that nobody even cares about actual tangible evidence. Yet they were willing to go crazy in 2016 over complete lies and a disinformation campaign by an actual foreign intelligence officer that was working for Hillary Clinton. But yet you have the information right here. I mean, do you feel, I'm asking you personally, Mayor, do you feel like you've been just targeted over and over again because of your support for the president?
I know. You know, also, this is in the context of that Brennan handwritten letter to the president, basically saying in words of substance that Hillary concocted the Russian collusion in order to take attention away from her computer. So that's right. That's been hidden for 4 years, Sarah. At any time when I was representing him, had I had that, I could have gotten the whole thing dismissed at any time.
That's absolutely true. And this, so everyone out there understands, before I go quickly to a quick little break here, so everyone out there understands what the mayor's talking about, what Mayor Giuliani's talking about is John Brennan. And it was this very highly classified notes that John Brennan basically had handwritten about his briefing to President Barack Obama about Hillary Clinton, and information that the intelligence agencies had gathered that basically she had approved an operation against President Trump, approved of some kind of operation to connect him to Russia. And this was information that was withheld from everyone, including the president's attorneys, for over 4 years. 4 years withheld. So I'm going to take a little break here, Rudy. I'm going to come to you on the flip side because we have a little care of business and I got to keep the lights running.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Rudy, for
not at
bearing
all.
with me through that break. I know. So let's talk about what's happening now. What are you doing now? What are the next steps? Are we waiting for the FBI to conclude this investigation? I know the Senate said that they weren't going to call Tony Bobulinski before the Senate until the FBI interviewed him. I'm a little disappointed. I'm going to ask you about the developments in the Russia hoax scandal. We're not seeing any movement out of the Attorney General's office. I doubt we'll see anything before the election. And we're not seeing enough movement by the Senate. I feel the Senate makes a lot of promises, other than Senator Ron Johnson now and Grassley. There's a lot of promises made and not a lot of action taken.
Well, they've been covering it up from the very beginning. I brought these allegations about Joe Biden to the Senate in December of 2019. And They weren't interested in it because he was a senator. For me, a former U.S. attorney named Bud Cummings brought these allegations to the Southern District of New York. That would be in October or November of 2019. And the Southern District of New York was more interested in chasing Stormy Daniels and buried this. And then I brought this evidence at the request of Attorney General Barr to the U.S. attorney in Pittsburgh. And at that point, I had 5 or 6 witnesses, about 100 documents, all ready to testify if somebody would interview them. And that's now 10 months and nobody's interviewed.
What's going on here? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, Sarah.
Have you asked Attorney General Barr? Have you asked Attorney General William Barr? Have you talked to the FBI?
He said it's being handled, but there's no apparent handling of it. I have to come to the conclusion it's being buried, and for no reason.
Do you think? Let me ask you this: if this was one of our kids, Mayor Giuliani, if this was President Trump's son, one of his sons, Eric or Don Jr., do you think? I know you're gonna. Do you think?
Oh, Sarah,
we'd get the same treatment? What do you think would happen?
I think every American, Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservatives, should sit back and answer that question for themselves. And if they think the treatment would be the same, they really aren't paying attention and they really have no common sense. I mean, I think every Democrat would tell you, of course, it would be much worse if it were the Trumps. But it shouldn't be much worse. America is supposed to have equal justice. Should be the same for Biden as for Trump. That's the only way we can exist as a democracy. We do this too much longer, we're going to ruin our democracy.
Well, and for civil libertarians out there, for people that say they're civil libertarians, that they fight for equal justice, that they're fighting for First Amendment rights, that they don't want our Fourth Amendment trampled on, because you know as well as I do, and I'm gonna ask you this question, and I've got just a few more questions. I know I'm keeping you a little bit longer than I expected. That for them, I mean, this is what we have seen over the last 5 years is a complete violation of the foundation that this country was based on. I mean, our First Amendment rights, our Fourth Amendment rights, basically a trampling on our Constitution, spying on a presidential candidate and then a president of these United States. I mean, this is treason. It borders on treason. This is what a coup d'etat, right? Or a soft coup in this case.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think, certainly not in modern times, of anything like this. It reminds me of the movie 7 Days in May, when the generals tried to overthrow the president. I mean, but this is fiction. It's not. Americans don't try to overthrow their government. Americans don't frame innocent people, much less the president or president-elect of the United States. I don't know, I don't know if this is just how many times this has been done. Sarah, I have a broader view of this, I think. Mm-hmm. I keep asking myself, there are an awful lot of good Democrats and good people. I think there are just as many good people that are Democrats as Republicans. It's the head of the party that's corrupted completely. And I think the Clintons began it. I think the Clintons corrupted it from the head down. And it's remained that way because I think Obama followed what Clinton was doing. And either Obama is part of this or he enables it by not paying attention to it.
Do you think anyone will ever pay the price for this, Mayor? Do you think that in any?
Yes, I do.
You do. So do you think John Durham will actually follow through with his work on his criminal probe?
I think with this new evidence, he should be able to conclude some things very, very quickly. He is a bit of a slow worker. There are lawyers like that. This would have been a job for somebody with a little more understanding of the clock we're working on here. And, right. He gets elected. I don't think he will, but if he gets elected and then to come down with your indictment on March 5th, you have the country in a terrible bind.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything inside that hard drive that you have not made public that is basically explosive or damning evidence that maybe the FBI is aware of? Something that you think absolutely beyond pretty explosive stuff already. I mean, as far as Hunter Biden and the allegations that were made here, I believe that's very damning. But is there anything else in there that you think is a direct smoking gun to?
There are several others that we'll give out as soon as we have them properly understood. The thing I have to caution you is there's more in this hard drive than we're ever going to be able to get to in a week. So we've done it by priority order. We began with Ukraine and China because we knew the most about it. And we concentrated on the two big transactions in China. There are a lot of smaller transactions with China. They did a lot of business with China. They did more business with China than any other country. Mm-hmm. And then there are deals with Romania, Kazakhstan.
Are there any direct with Russia?
Oh, sure. There's a $3.5 million payment from Elena Butarina to Hunter Biden. And there is no apparent reason for it, except if you read the emails and the text carefully, it appears as if they're trying to begin to set up a money laundering operation. And this may refer to the one that the Bureau is investigating.
Okay. So that everyone understands this, this was the ex-mayor of Moscow's wife, and she had sent 3.5 million allegedly in a transaction. Now, Hunter Biden and Vice President Joe Biden, I'm not sure if he's denied that yet, but have they denied this transaction or no?
They have not.
Okay, they have not denied it. So it's out there. There are all these allegations. I want to give you an opportunity to address anything you want right now. I know I'm going to have to bring this up. Do you have anything to say to Borat? Anything at all before I have to ask. I can't be afraid.
The last time I saw him, he was in his underwear running away from the police.
Oh.
I mean, the reality is it was an attempt. It was an attempt. I have the script. It was an attempt to see if I would accept a massage from this reporter who turned, from a reporter into a seductress.
A seductress.
And the minute she mentioned the word massage, my next two words were, Brian, call the police.
There you have it, folks.
I realized at that point it was some kind of a sham interview. I did nothing wrong.
Right. So, Mayor, let me ask you this, because I'm constantly worried about this. Before I became more of a columnist, I was working as a journalist for like 2 decades, war zones, everything. And then, of course, the war zone of Washington, D.C.'s swamp with John Solomon and all the Russia hoax stories and everything that we could get out, possibly dig up. Always concerned about this town and basically the world in general, but especially now with all of the technology. I mean, I'm always worried. I feel like, if you've got a target on your back, you got a target on your back.
Oh, my goodness. I got a big one. Yeah.
So that's got to be a concern for you. I mean, it's got to be something.
The only good thing is I've been through it so often, it doesn't distract me.
Right.
I mean, I know what I do. I know the law.
Right.
I'm careful as I can be.
Right.
And I just don't allow myself to be intimidated.
Right.
She's not. In fact, I kind of see it as we must be really zeroing in on the target. I mean, look, they attempted to keep me off television 6 months ago. Most extraordinary letter. Biden writes a letter to all the networks. You can't put Rudy Giuliani on. And some of them don't put me on. When did a candidate ever tell the networks who they can put on and who they can't put on?
Right. Right. That is pretty incredible. And you're absolutely right that we live in a different time now. One more thing. What would you like to tell to everyone who's, all of the listeners out there, everybody who's out there just trying to get along with their everyday life? There are a lot of people out there that support President Trump, some that are on the fence, some that aren't sure yet which direction they want to go. What is your message for them? And then I'll let you respond quickly to what happened in New York.
If you're on the fence, or you're even supporting Biden right now, remember that if you elect him and not Trump, you're going to have this censorship forever. I mean, this is not just big media and big tech. This is a conspiracy. Biden is in tight with them. They own him. And anytime he's going to need help, they're going to just keep it out of the newspapers. So we'll be living in something akin to Soviet Russia with Pravda, or East Germany with their government-owned media. We're going to move in one day. If we make a mistake, we're going to move from a free press to a press that is controlled by the Democrat Party, by Facebook, by Google. That's very dangerous, and that's the reason why, among others, they should vote for Trump. He also happened to have been a terrific president, and he will do just the opposite. He'll break them up like Teddy Roosevelt did. He'll break up those monopolies, and we'll have choice, and we'll have competition. We'll have some conservative ones and some liberal ones and some in-between ones. That's the way it should be.
Absolutely.
This is America. They are trying in so many ways, and I believe George Soros is behind a lot of this, because he's the biggest funder to the Democratic Party, Joe Biden, Antifa, and Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
And to many of the district attorneys all over the country who are letting people out of jail. And
by the way, for all of you out there who are listening to this, it's not a conspiracy theory. What Mayor Giuliani is saying is actually fact. Read the Los Angeles Times. Read all the papers, the Boston Globe. Everybody's been talking about this. Open Society Foundation, run by Soros, has actually put a ton of money into this so that they can bring prosecutors and that are more like-minded and take over the. I mean, this is a really serious issue we're having here in the United States right now. So it's fundamentally one of the biggest problems we have. And you're right. If this goes Joe Biden's way, which I don't believe it will, but for those. Yeah, but for those of you out there who are listening, if you're on the fence, really listen to what we're saying here, because this is an absolute fact. There are very few people that are willing to take on big tech. President Trump is one of them, and he will stand in front of the line to take down these monopolies so that they won't control the narrative and that they will give back what they had promised originally, which was a voice for the American people, an open platform where ideas could flow, whether you're liberal, whether you're conservative, or whether you're a Green Party member. It doesn't matter, but an open platform where everybody can talk. Thank you so much, Mayor Giuliani.
Thank you, Sara. Great work on the whole hoax. You're one of the great heroes. I know you took a lot of pressure and a lot of threats, but you did a great job, Sara.
Oh, it was pretty tough. It was pretty tough.
But you know,
well, thank you so much. And God bless you and all the hard work you're doing. And I know someone's trying to reach you desperately, so I'm going to let you get that phone call.
Thank you, my dear.
Anytime. Thank you, Mayor.